This is Bun Rieu, a Vietnamese pork and crab noodle soup, traditionally served with vermicelli noodles, pork and crab meatballs, pork blood cakes, and tomatoes. And this is how I like to dress it. Green onions, cilantro, red onions, mix that up. Mint, bean sprouts, lime, black pepper, and some garlic sambal for the spice. Mix it all up. And today I'm going to show you how to make Bun Rieu Vietnamese crab noodle soup. Alright guys, this is going to be the base for our broth. We got 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds of pork bones. You can find this at any Asian market. We got 1 yellow onion that we charred up a bit. And here we have 3 dried squid jerky thingies you get at Asian markets. So the goal here is to get as much flavor out of the pork bones, the sweetness of the onion, the umami and saltiness of the dried squid before we add any seasoning. Rolling boil. Let's get the pork bones in. So we're gonna parboil these for about 20 minutes so it can clean out all the scum, all the blood. This step is a must for a clean broth. So make sure you parboil your bones. After 20 minutes, as you can see, all the scum from the blood and all the dirt and whatnot is rising to the top. We're gonna rinse this off after 20 minutes. Turn off the heat, cool down, and then dump it in. Cold water running here. In our final pot here, we got filtered water coming up to a boil. Then we're gonna add our pork bones here. In goes the onion and our squid jerky. There's 4 pieces here. Get them in. Fill it up with more filtered water to the top. It's gonna boil out. Bring this to a boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer for 2 hours. Low simmer. Annatto seeds, and we're gonna make annatto seed oil. Get about 2 tablespoons in here. Quarter cup of hot avocado oil here. Be careful. Add it to your seeds. After 30 minutes to an hour, get another container, one of these sifty thingies. Set aside for later. Next, we're gonna make our pork and crab meatballs. 3 pounds of ground pork, a pound of white crab meat, half a cup dried shrimp, 3 eggs, and that annatto seed oil from earlier. First, we're gonna get our shrimp into the processor. This is gonna add a lot of umami and saltiness to the dish. Here's our shrimp. Get that in. Crab meat goes in. 3 eggs go in. About 2 tablespoons of that annatto seed oil here. 3 tablespoons of garlic powder. 3. 2 tablespoons of paprika. And a good amount of fresh cracked black pepper. All right, diamond hands in. And let's get this all mixed up. This is the star. This is all the protein mainly of this dish. You can make this ahead of time. Put it in the fridge. Get this mixed up really well. Make sure the blend of crab and pork nice and even. Hands, squeeze it in. Massage that pork until it forms a paste almost. The eggs, the garlic, paprika, the oil will give it color. Looks pretty fair to me. After it's all compacted, I like to add a little bit more of that annatto seed oil on top. Just to make it look pretty while it rests in the fridge. Look at that. Wrap this up, let it sit in the fridge until you're ready to serve. After 2 hours, discard your parchment paper, sweet onion into the trash can. Pork bones come out. I'm gonna save these because I'm gonna eat them still. They got meat on them, super delicious. Set them aside, look at that. Oof. Bone. Pieces of the squid earlier. We're gonna get rid of this in the trash. Squid piece, trash. Set this aside. Eat it on the side. Serve it with your Bun Rieu. But you can toss this or you can save it. I'm gonna save it and I'll enjoy it later. Just a nice clean broth we got going on here. I'm gonna turn it back on high heat. Just give it a taste. It's gonna taste really bland. Tastes porky, a little bit of the squid, but very bland, but very clean, and it has that natural sweetness that we're looking for. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more filtered water. Just do this once for the displacement of the bones. I'll get it up to that dot right there. Boom. We're gonna bring this up to a boil. Rolling boil. Let's get the seasoning in. 3 tablespoons of salt. 2, 3. Get 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. I'm just eyeballing it. We don't have to go crazy with the measurements. Get that in. Some rock sugar. This looks good enough. A medium and a small piece. Drop that in. And this is the first seasoning we have for our broth. Mix this up. And we'll taste it as we go, but let everything dissolve. And this is our broth. There's still more layers to this, but the hard part is done. Tomatoes. The annatto seed oil. A little bit of mushroom seasoning, like a tablespoon. Quick saute on these on like a medium heat. Just to get that mushroom seasoning blended in. Coat it with that annatto oil. Tomatoes go in. to our main broth. Careful, don't burn yourself. Get that in. This will give it color and more flavor and umami. And all in there. There you go. Here we got coagulated pork blood that I cubed up. You don't need this if you can't find it, but usually you can find it at Asian markets. Add this to your broth. Next, we're gonna add our meatballs as we go. We're not gonna do this whole batch. We're just gonna do it as we go. So it's usually just enough to cover the top layer. Make sure it's a rolling boil. Form it into these type of balls and slowly just drop it in. Vermicelli rice noodle, the thin version. Follow the instructions and get them in. Is our dried shrimp paste, fermented dry shrimp paste. This is what makes it Bun Rieu. It comes in this block. Hot water. This is the equivalent to like the umami, the shrimp paste, but this is what I have, so I'm using it. It's the dried version. It's easier to store, in my opinion, and more versatile. We're gonna get our umami in. This is our final boss here. See little chunks, but the heat will break it down. Give it a good stir without breaking anything. And just let this sit for another 15 minutes. Let everything cook, everything blend together, and we'll be ready to serve. So we got the meatballs here, the tomatoes, the blood cake, and it all should float to the top once it's cooked and ready to go. And you kind of just go with the flow, add some as you go, because obviously we don't put everything in. We don't want to crowd the pot. Slow as you go.